On this episode of the podcast, I caught up with Luta Gear co-owner and the co-creator of Gripp Tāp, Neal Bernardino. Neal is a Jiu-Jitsu black belt who came up with a unique product that can be used to help protect your fingers and hands from injury. We kind of discuss the ideas behind bringing Gripp Tāp to an actual product, how they've seen it grow, the company grow, and how the results they've seen as far as injury prevention and the benefits of using the Gripp Tāp with grappling and preventing injury. So we kind of talked to Neal regarding his path to getting a black belt and what drew him to Jiu-Jitsu, as well as, you know, his thoughts on the future of Gripp Tāp and different products they plan on coming out with. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the podcast. So what's been going on?
Not a whole lot. We just have just a lot going on. We have new products that are we've been working on, and some prototypes that we're fine tuning, and sponsorships that we're trying to organize. You know, we have a lot of sponsorship requests, and we do have fighters that right now we are sponsoring, and we have a big Orange Fist photo shoot, and it's just kind of a mess.
How did you know, thanks for coming on. First of all, how did everything come about? Like, how did you get this idea for Luta Gear, and kind of how has it grown?
Well, firstly, Luta Gear is my, not just me, but it's me and Eddie Yang, my business partner, and he's the creator of Luta Gear. Actually, we both trained at Jean-Jacques Machado Academy, and several years ago, he had a finger injury, and I think it was while I was rolling with him. I crushed one of his fingers, and I'm trying to remember the clear part of it. Like, I tape my fingers just like this.
Yeah.
My middle and index. Middle and ring finger together.
Right.
And those were also the same fingers that Eddie had injured. So he went to a physical therapist, and he said that you should buddy tape them if you're going to use them for now. So he buddy taped them, but he created a prototype for a finger sleeve that kept them together. Mm-hmm. So and then he said this is what I came up with. What do you think we should do? And he said, and one of the our training partners from the academy said, hey, if you don't market that, I'm going to steal your idea. And I was like, well, I mean, you know, I think it's a great idea, of course, this is all happening like months at a time.
Sure.
You know, the first idea was conceived like in late 2013.
Well, how did you go about, you know, what was your plan? Like, how did you all go about getting it, you know, patented or making it a more of a prototype, getting it out to the masses? How did you go about that? How did you get the word out?
Yeah, we got the word out. A lot of it was social media. And, of course, I think a lot of guys are using social media to get out because it's such a powerful tool these days.
Sure. For
marketing. You know, we have academies that are online, and we have Facebook and Instagram, and we still use that. That's actually probably our strongest way of reaching the people, and our customers. One of the great things that we're finding is that people really like the product, and they're finding that, like, when if they're regularly taping them through the fingers, and they switch to the Gripp Tāp, then they're noticing less pain, more mobility, easier to use, and so it kind of naturally has its own. It's being fueled by its own excitement.
Yeah.
You know.
So, like, in my opinion, and I've used it. You sent me a couple. I think just the one with just the two, just gets the two fingers together.
Yeah.
If you can see this hand, I've actually fractured, or I didn't fracture. I'm sorry, I tore this ligament. I was at a tournament. I didn't tape at all, and I ended up tearing it going for a choke. I actually have to tape this one. I have used the Luta Gear for this one, and I need a little more support. But like when I have sprains and strains, like something minor, or like just kind of need the fingers together, I'd use them consistently, and and even I think in preventative, it can be a good thing too. I think preventatively it can. I think you're talking about getting compression and like heat to the joint, which feels good. So a lot of times people wear like knee sleeves, something like that. You're kind of basically, making that finger sleeve is the same kind of concept, and I think it's definitely got a lot of good it's very applicable to and also can kind of save you money down the road.
No, we actually, there's just some of the cool things that we've heard are people that have arthritis found it feels better for their joints. People that of course, the recovering fingers, and I mean, I myself, I don't train without it, because I know that a finger alone versus fingers together are more likely to get hurt, and I just I've been great with just to wear my gear regularly.
Do you feel like it hinders or kind of like has affected? Do you have to modify your game in any way when you're using the Luta Gear?
There's only, it just depends on how you grip typically. Like we have different configurations. Like if you're a no-gi guy and you want to do the no-gi baseball, and you got the two fingers and then the here, like so so you need these two free and not these two together. But if you plan on doing that in no-gi, then you use what we call the deuce, which is the ring and pinky finger combo, and the you wear the double on your index and middle. So if you plan on doing no-gi baseball choke, then that's how you use it. But you can do any, we do have all the configurations. We have the triple.
The pinky, ring, and middle, and then you got the one that just does. You can either use. So for the pinky finger, to get that, you have to use the triple. Is that correct?
We have the deuce, which is the ring and pinky finger combo, or the triple.
Got it. So you use the deuce. You use on any two fingers, right? You can use on any two fingers together.
No, actually, the deuce is actually smaller.
Okay.
Let me grab a sample for you.
Awesome, sure.
There's the camera.
Okay, so that one is for the pinky and the ring finger.
Pinky and ring finger. This is the deuce. And this
can be
is
used on either side, right or left hand.
Yeah, this is the. There we go. And so, which is great because some people actually only need it for their ring and pinky finger combos.
Right.
So it's good to have all the variations.
Mm-hmm. So you've got one for the ring and pinky finger, you've got one for three fingers, and you've got one that'll do any two fingers together, like the middle and ring and the middle and index.
Correct.
Yeah, I like that one. It's awesome. Yeah, that pinky, I'll tell you, that pinky kind of gets left alone a lot. It gets grabbed or it gets snagged on stuff because it's on the end like that, and I think that can really actually be pretty good for preventative. I think some preventative, and it's not really going to limit, because you're not really doing a ton of chokes with those, so it's not really going to limit any kind of chokes you're going for.
Right.
I like that one. I think that, you sent me one and I used it, and I was a little skeptical. I'll tell you why. I thought like this thing's going to fall off, and surprisingly enough, you got to get it a little more snug of a fit, but I thought it stayed on really well. And I think it really, obviously it'll slide or shift a little bit, but it never came off. So I liked it. I liked using it for just regular sprains and strains. Like I had like I was saying, I had a tear in this finger, and it required a little more stability, a little more compression that I could get. But that was probably the only case. Other than that, I was using the Luta Gear, for any injured fingers that I had that were just kind of achy, sore, kind of had a sprain. So I think it's definitely a great idea for sure. I think preserving your hands is so important, and I think a lot of people don't preemptively tape or wear certain things until they do have an issue, and I think I think that's kind of pick your poison, so to speak. Or do you think you maybe use your fingers differently or your hands differently if you didn't have anything on there? Would you be more careful and more cautious? I don't know. It's one of those things. So it's definitely an interesting concept. I haven't tried any of the other configurations. I'd be curious to see how those turn out. Tell me, Neal, tell me a little about kind of your background, where you're from, kind of how you started in jiu-jitsu as well.
I think I have a common. I know a lot of jiu-jitsu stories are when everybody saw the first UFC with Royce Gracie, dominating the no holds barred fights, and all of us just being in utter amazement. In my martial arts journey, I first started with Tang Soo Do. I was about 16, and I tried Tang Soo Do at a youth athlete academy in Tarzana, and I think it was Rick Prieto was the head instructor there. And then I went to Cas Magda from Magda Institute, where I studied Kali, Eskrima, Silat, and Muay Thai. And that, I think I was there till like 94?
Yeah.
93, 94, and then I did some assorted Muay Thai and boxing.
Yeah.
Afterwards, just kind of going to gyms and academies and working a little bit here and there. And it wasn't until 2002 that I said, okay, well, I really wanted to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
Thought I'd gotta try. And so I spent the earlier years with John Machado, and then when they were at Miracle Mile, and they moved from there to the Grove, to Culver City, and it was 2007 when my son was born, and we were living in the valley closer here to Tarzana, where John Jacques Machado is. Mm-hmm. So I figured, man, why all this driving time? Why not just go, where it's like 5 minutes to get there? So I started training with John Jacques back in 2007, and it is 2008 now. So I've been with him, 11 years.
It's quite the lineage, though. Honestly, you had a lot of, almost like a lot of pioneers of jiu-jitsu. Because you're in California, correct?
Yeah.
So man, that's just in the early days. I've talked to some people, and I had Chris Hatter on the podcast, and he's one of the early guys to get his black belt. One of the first 12, I think, Americans to get his black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And man, it's like being at the right, I don't know if it's the right place, right time, or just that was kind of the hotbed initially of jiu-jitsu, and then it kind of started to spread. But because Hoist they were all based out of there as well. I don't know exactly surrounding areas, but that's so awesome. So anything that attracted you particularly to jiu-jitsu? Was there anything that doing those other martial arts, or something that you saw or you seek that jiu-jitsu did for you?
Well, I know that moving from a striking style to a grappling style, right, and as an aging man, you don't want to get the physical trauma as much as you, right, you know what I mean? Like, if you're sparring and kickboxing, there are days when you just can't sleep if somebody struck you so hard in the ribs or in the head, right, or, some random injury. But Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, as a black belt now, how to train, carefully to avoid injuries. And it's not to say that you never get injuries, but, you could train forever and ever and not, and maybe a little something here and there. But, it's really tough on the back. But, I know most people are finding that. But I think at this point, I do a lot of core exercise, mm-hmm, some core, some lifting, some physical conditioning, so that my body can take the work.
Right.
So my frequency of injuries is definitely much lower than it's ever been.
Oh, so that's an interesting thing. A lot of people say that as you're saying your injuries as you've gotten older, injuries have gotten less frequent. Do you think it's because did you change your training? Frequency, intensity? Do you not roll as hard? Take more time off? Obviously, the other things you mentioned, you're putting a lot of other supplementary work into, core stability and strengthening, which are very crucial and important. But do you think it's how you modified your training as well?
Yeah, I shift my intensity a little bit. Sometimes the ideal mindset is to be very technical. So if you're approaching everything, like being very aware of the geometry and the physics, and you approach it, keeping all the rules in mind, elbows close, posture, drive with your hip, all those things that are that are key, then you're not kind of just running around, making careless mistakes. When somebody catches you, and it's okay because it's training. We do turn it up around, tournament times if one of our teammates are, of course, if you guys from the school are going to be competing, or if myself am competing, we try and go a little bit harder, a little more intense. But I find it's definitely good to approach it a very technical way, because you just can't beat it.
Right. Well, what's the frequency of training? How often do you train?
3 times a week, at least. Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon times at Jean-Jacques. Actually, I do some kickboxing as well. Kickback, some bag work. I haven't done any sparring, but Tuesday and Thursday, and then Tuesday night, Thursday night. Tuesday I'm doing shoulders and upper back, and Thursday is chest, and then Saturday is my big lift day, where I do back, chest, core, and every night I do some kind of core workout.
What kind of injuries have you had in the past? Anything you kind of dealt with? Any serious injuries?
My fingers themselves, before the Gripp Tāp came, before we had this product, I had a couple of finger injuries. One time, my knee, I think I had double hooks, or rather I had a leg hook on a guy that tried to hop out of that guard and took my leg with him, and he was about 285 pounds, older guy. And the ground wasn't very slippery. It was on the mats where it was those padded mat, not like the smooth vinyl one. And so my hip was stuck to the mat, and the leg just kind of went and gave a little pop. But it wasn't a complete tear. It was just
Somebody kind of recovered with rehab. Were able to deal with rehab.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. I mean, I definitely should have walked with crutches, but I was able to pull it.
Just manned up, huh?
It worked.
So do you feel like, getting back to the Gripp Tāp, do you feel like, as far as injuries, you're seeing less injuries for yourself personally, or are you getting feedback that there's less injuries with using the Gripp Tāp and the different products regularly? Absolutely.
We get testimonials regularly. Matter of fact, the other day we did a creative, an artist sort of creative photo shoot, which is like an advertising campaign.
Sure.
For Luta Gear. One of our sponsored fighters, Kevin Casey, he said, man, he's like, I can't tell you how many times I seen almost injuries with my fingers, but because I was wearing the Gripp Tāp, I know that it protected that. I know that it kept it from happening.
Yeah.
It's easy to take for granted, because you don't know that you saved an injury until you know what I mean? If you don't know, you're
I know,
like,
man. I'm a PT, and look, man, my hand is screwed up. My finger's really messed up, and I think that if I would have had probably something like that, either the Gripp Tāp on or even taped it or whatever, it would have probably saved my fingers from getting my ligament from being torn in my finger. So, it's rough, man. And is it IBJJF legal to wear the Gripp Tāp? It is.
Oh yeah. IBJJF, Jiu-Jitsu World League. Actually, I haven't heard or known or seen any of the tournaments that have not allowed it.
Mm-hmm.
For myself, I've done, I think about 2 Pans and 4 Worlds, and not, they've always let me wear it.
Uh-huh.
They kind of see it as athletic tape. So when you put it on, they go, oh, okay, it's just the same thing, so it doesn't doesn't make anything any different.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they saw that it gave you some kind of advantage, like maybe somehow improved your strength or your grip strength or something, I think that would be an issue then. But I don't see it necessarily, because it's just like wearing like a knee brace kind of thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think I can see the preventative, just because it's keeping those fingers from getting separated.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like, how do people go about like sponsorships? How did you start? How did people reach out? How did that whole process start?
Well, it's really funny, and going back to when we first launched our product, who one of our current sponsored fighters is Kevin Casey, and he actually messaged us on Instagram and said, "Hey, I'd like to try it out. Can you send me a sample?" And he tried it out, and we were talking about it. And he said, "I got a fight coming up. Do you want to be my sponsor? I want to represent your product." And that was our first time ever sponsoring anybody. We are new to this industry, relatively. I mean, there's guys like Hayabusa and Atama, and
sure,
and they already know. They are all very familiar with how the process works, what you pay, what you expect, how you utilize your resources, and we're just kind of learning everything step by step. And so we do have a lot of sponsorship requests, and we can't take everybody. We kind of just have to see what works, who's a good fit, and what's going to be beneficial for us. So, here and there.
What do you look for? Like, do you look for somebody that competes a lot, high-level competitor? You're looking for somebody, that's more has a social media presence versus not. I mean, is there anything like you're looking for in a sponsored athlete?
Yeah, one of the things you look for is a social media presence. Their, of course, competitive ability. Of course, they have to be, good character, because you don't want somebody who's a troublemaker, like, wearing your gear and saying, "Oh yeah, that's a Luta Gear fighter." You want just good people that do well in the sport, and you have a social media presence, and what else? Have a good future, have the right contacts. I mean, to get the right exposure.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it. The basic stuff.
Where do you see, like, as far as where do you see your company growing? Where do you see Luta Gear, 2, 3, 5 years from now? Where do you see? Is there any other products you're looking to come out with?
Right now that we have something called the Quad, and we have several prototypes that are out. And I'll grab that for you.
Sure.
Yeah. This is our Quad.
So that's 4. It's got 4. Just the thumb is the only thing that's open. Is that correct?
Yeah, thumb is the only thing that's open. We do have a lot of. Talk about running into time. This is our go.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, so 4 fingers.
Yeah, it's got 4 fingers. 3 of them are the same length. 1 for the pinky is a little shorter. Cut a little shorter. Just I was trying to explain to people.
Kind of like that. Yeah. This is the one. Actually, my business partner Eddie Yang, he loves this one and just thinks this would be his regular go-to. I personally like the triple.
Yeah.
This is the 3, so it's got pinky, and I've always,
Yeah.
So
I'd be curious to try, because I did have is it the double? What's the one with just the 2, just so you can put like your ring and middle finger in, or your index or middle finger? What's that one?
That's the double.
That's the double. So see, that one, when I did that one for my messed up hand, I used it before for some other sprains, like I said, and it was great. It was perfect. But this one for the messed up finger, I used it, and I felt like my finger still kind of moved around a little more. Do you think that the triple or the quad would actually provide? I'm curious. I mean, I'm curious to try it and see, because I've rolled with that double and I've rolled with tape. Tape seems to help this finger just because it's so messed up a lot, a little more stability. But I'm curious to see if that quad should actually even provide enough support.
Yeah, I could send you. I remember it's a prototype. So if it's we don't have them for sale yet. But
Sure.
Let me see if I have an extra one.
Yeah, man, I'd love to check it out and do a review on it, see what I think. See if I can even roll with it. Because I'm taping this thing all the time, and it's just, it hurts.
Did you say your right hand or left hand for the quad?
Yeah, right hand. Yeah.
My hand. I'll send you a right hand quad.
You can see my finger though; it's pretty messed up. This little middle one, it's gnarly compared to
Yeah.
the other one. Yeah, man, my finger is just. It's crazy. I love doing the gi. You know, I love collar chokes and collar grips and stuff. And I think you know I've gotten to the point where I used to just hold it and fight people for it. Now I just let it go. You know, because I just know the risk of injury is
Yeah.
it's up there for sure. You know, and once you injure those hands, you know, God, it's rough. I mean, I don't think they're ever. If you tear a ligament, I don't think they ever end up kind of being the same as they were before.
No, they're not.
And
Yeah,
I've done rehab on, I've done strengthening, I've done stretching. Yeah, look at that one.
this one is all. Yeah, it's pretty big knuckle. This is.
Yeah, man, I see it. So you think for you, obviously you got some arthritis in those joints, in those knuckles. You feel like it's definitely been a lifesaver for you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. I'm curious. I'm curious to see. You know, I'm curious to see if maybe I've been more careful with my hands, anyways, but. I'm curious to see how it does, if it really provides us, you know, 'cause I think it's a great idea. You know, I think it probably could take some getting used to. You know, if you've never used it before, I think it probably takes a little adjustment period. But honestly, when I had it on, just the double, I didn't notice I really had it on that much. I just kind of did what I was doing.
Yeah, because you don't really. Again, you don't really. You know, it's like if you're taking supplements that help your joints, you don't really know that it's helping you until you feel the joint pain, which you don't because you're you know.
I think it's cool, man. I think you know the things that you said. You know, it's number one. It's gotta have a purpose. It's gotta have some kind of you know use. Number two, it's got to be legal to be used in some of these tournaments, and I think that's important. It's got to stay on. I think you know it does. I even used, like I said, I used the double and it stayed on. So I like it. I think it's a cool idea. I think it's definitely got a market, and I think if you can do anything to save your hands, I think you should do that because jiu-jitsu, you know, hands and fingers, man. That's just those are probably some of the highest injuries, you know, besides neck, shoulder, all that stuff. But man, hands are definitely a major injury, and if you don't have your hands, can't grip, can't finish submissions, can't get out of submissions, that type of thing. So
yeah.
That's awesome,
the quads, I think we're thinking that will be a lot actually useful in other sports like soccer goalies.
Yeah.
You know, we made the XS extra small for kids to play soccer goalies. Guys that play basketball can also use it. You asked earlier how we see ourselves maybe in the future. I think we'll break out into other sports. Only because there's a use for it. You know, I think guys that play basketball or football that find that when they're trying to catch a ball or block a ball, that they've also had the same injuries. So
right, yeah, those fingers get kind of bent over. And do you think like maybe adding anything as far as like some kind of grip to the actual, like any kind of rubberized or anything like that would be beneficial?
That's a good question because I told my son to try it out for his basketball, and he was saying that the neoprene kind of slips off the ball, and so I don't know, maybe we could heat emboss some kind of a grip pattern or something.
Right, or even do you think anything on the inside of it might help as far as to keep it secured a little better in the hand, or would it be too hard to put on and off?
That I think it may be a little hard to take on and off. Right now, you see, I'm one. I fluctuate, heavy at 164 and a light at 159.
Right.
And so I'm kind of in between a medium and a small.
Gotcha.
But I wear my mediums, and they stay on pretty good. I have moments where I think maybe the medium might be a little bit small. But if you're thinking like if it starts to slip a little bit, then I definitely would try a size down.
Right.
Also depends on how you're cleaning it. Like if you use careful not to get any alcohol in it, because alcohol breaks down the neoprene, so the elasticity becomes less spongy. Another thing too is I wanted to say that like when people first get their grip tape, they if you're not training and you put it on, it's going to cut off circulation to your tips. So make sure you wear it during training. And there's like it always breaks in after the first, your first time bowling.
Yeah, that's what it was a little snug the first time, which is what I wanted. I'd rather be a little more snug than a little more loose, and I used it, and it felt comfortable. I didn't have any problems with it. I've actually used it. I remember I actually used it like when I was lifting weights. So that was a really easy. Just when I've had, like I said, some sprains and strains and injuries to the fingers. I actually use it like. It doesn't really bother if I'm doing bench press or using a barbell or dumbbells or even like, rows or anything like that. So I thought that was a really good application that I used it for, just because it's the gripping, you're really gripping certain things when you're lifting and stuff. And I thought it had a good application, easy to put on, and it helped. So
I should try that.
There you go. Yeah. I just think you can use it. I mean, you use it for anything. I mean, if you're doing anything like in the yard even, I think it just gives you a little that support, that compression. It kind of help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think any kind. I mean, yeah, it just I think from that aspect, it's not so much as from a stability standpoint. It's more from a heat compression kind of thing. So that's where I thought it kind of helped out. It felt pretty good to my joints, because I think the heat feels good to the joints.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting some feedback like that.
It's awesome, man. Yeah, I'd love to do a couple reviews on them. Let me know. I mean, I'd love to do them and see what I think. I definitely think there's a use for them for sure. And they're good quality. It lasted. I still have them. They lasted. It's been probably 6 months, 9 months, something like that I've had them. So they're good, and I use them pretty consistently. So
yeah, we figure they last about at least a year.
What's working?
I have a pair that I've used for a year and at least, and I'm using them 3 with my regular training schedule 3 times a week. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's quite a meeting.
Well, great, brother. I appreciate it, man. Thanks. I know you're kind of short on time, but I just wanted to kind of touch base with you. I appreciate you, taking the time to kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and about Luta Gear and the Gripp Tāp. It's awesome. I look forward to using it, doing a review on it, and see how it does.
All
right, Neal. Thank you for your time, brother. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having us. Okay.
All right, brother.
All right.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.